Woohoo! That was close. Hello and welcome to the third episode of our series about the 125cc driver's license. Today we're going to take a look at what we can find on a standard Vespa, on what we can tune. In the last episodes, we looked at how you can drive light motorcycles or scooters up to 125cc with a regular car license, or the B196. We also took a look at which Vespa models are on the market that you can drive with this license. If you haven't seen these videos yet, just check out the info box or take a look at the description down below. What I have here is a Vespa Sprint in matte black. Since I'm here at ZIP, directly at the source, I want to take a look at what add-ons are available and which ones we can use to make the scooter a bit more awesome. To see what else we can get out of the scooter, we're visiting Stefan. He's been working at ZIP for 20 years now, is a GTS rider, and manages the sales department and the call center. Therefore, he knows the modern Vespa accessories product line inside out. Let's see what he has to say. Hi Stefan, I've already told our viewers you're the expert at ZIP when it comes to modern Vespa. I got myself a Vespa Sprint in matte black. I would like to pimp it a bit, make it look good and maybe tune it a little bit. Can you recommend something that would be fitting for my build?
Was ich da vielleicht so machen kann.
Well, Robert, you've made a great choice with buying the Sprint. I can help you for sure. In our SIP webshop we have over 45,000 products. We will certainly find the right product to put together your Sprint optically as well as tuning according to your needs. Let's take a look at the webshop.
Lass uns doch mal in den Webshop schauen. Das ist der ZIP.
This is the SIP webshop. But before we start looking for the parts, I would say we look at the Sprint in detail first. That is the Vespa Sprint, as you bought it, right?
Exactly. That's what it looks like currently. It looks pretty nice already, but a few things bother me. For example, I'd like to get rid of all the chrome elements, but I don't know how much of them are replaceable.
Letzten Endes austauschen kann. Also wenn ich mir das Fahrzeug von der Seite so anschaue.
Looking at the vehicle from the side, you're right. The chrome elements are pretty nice out of the box. But if you change a few parts, for example the leg shield, luggage rack, individual elements in the area of the steering head to black matte or black shiny, the vehicle will look way more sporty.
Dann wirkt das ganze Fahrzeug erstmal sportlicher. Und da würde ich ansetzen.
That's where I would start. In the first step, I would optimize the vehicle optics to a glossier and matte black color scheme.
Als matt bringen.
It doesn't always have to be matte or gloss black throughout. You can mix the color variations a bit. Looks very cool.
Schaut montiert sehr geil aus. Im Lenkkopfbereich.
In the area of the steering head, I would change the trim ring for the headlight.
Verändern. Ganz klar die.
Also the switch elements, the mirrors, the brake levers, and of course grips. The chrome surrounding the so-called monoslot tube when I look at the Vespa from the front.
Wenn ich mir das Fahrzeug von vorne anschaue und nachdem wir
And after we've looked at the visual area, we'll dive into the exhaust area.
haben, gehen wir in den Auspuffbereich rein. Also wenn du mir
So if you agree with me, the stock exhaust looks a bit boring. We'll find something sportier in our store for sure.
Is this a purely visual upgrade, or do I get a bit more power out of the other exhaust?
Unterbau. Es fühlt sich etwas schneller an, weil
It will feel a little faster because it sounds different. On paper, the new exhaust doesn't change anything though.
Nicht ins Positive. Also beim Viertakter ist es.
On a four-stroke engine, it's just a subjective perception of the speed increase. So it's more for looks.
Hast du vollkommen recht, aber
But your neighbors will be happy because they will hear you turning into the street a little earlier.
Of course, that is worth a lot, I'd say.
After we look at everything in the optical area, I would suggest that we look at the chassis next.
Fahrwerk nochmal anschauen, aber auch hier ist
But again, there are ways to make a vehicle a bit safer.
Fahrzeug etwas sicherer zu machen.
The original suspension is okay, but it's definitely worth changing to some higher quality shocks.
Hochwertigere Stoßdämpfer lohnt sich auf jeden Fall. Abschließend
Finally, I would work on the engine with you.
in den Bereich Motortuning uns einmal zusammen anschauen.
Okay.
Denn auch hier hast du die Möglichkeit,
Here you also have the choice to improve the deduction of your vehicle quite a bit.
zu verbessern. Hier kann man unter
Here you go in the menu. Select vehicle type and then click on Vespa Primavera Sprint 125 to 150cc.
Nächstes wird hier der
Next, the manufacturer is automatically filled in half. Then we need to store your Vespa Sprint as pre-selection filter.
Auswahlfilter
You
hinterlegen.
did say the model is new, so I assume it's one from 2020, Euro 5.
20, Euro 5. Jetzt haben wir das Fahrzeug.
Now we have saved your vehicle. Every item you search from this point on should be suitable for your pre-selected model.
Okay, that means all the parts that are shown to me will fit automatically. I don't need to worry if I can actually install it or not.
Das wirklich verbauen kann oder nicht.
Exactly. In the next step, you have several search options. You can use our product categories to find the right parts.
Produktkategorien, dir die richtigen Teile zusammensuchen.
You can search for your product in the search box. You can also use exploded views to find the smallest screw on your vehicle.
Explosionszeichnungen, die kleinste Schraube an deinem Fahrzeug finden.
Okay,
Ich würde vorschlagen, dass
I would suggest that we make you a notepad first.
einen Merkzettel erstellen.
Die Merkzettel, die können wir nämlich dann auch.
you can also find the notepad in the video description below. Meaning, if you like the scooter and you also want to have such a sprint, you can easily find and order the parts using this notepad.
Unter diesem Merkzettel finden und bestellen, oder?
Wir schauen uns die
Let's take a look at our notepads in detail. For the sprint, here's how we did it in the optics section.
Optik
I got you the sport levers, the luggage rack for the step-through, the monoslot tube in black, small parts for the handlebar area,
Monoschlitzrohr in schwarz, Kleinteile für den Bereich.
as well as LED taillight and LED turn signals, swing arm cover, vario cover, so actually everything.
Variodeckel, also eigentlich alles.
I think we're good with this. The chrome is disappearing for the most part and the details are just getting nicer with the turn signal, taillight and more. It will just look a little bit more sporty. I can't wait to see what it looks like in the end. What do we have in terms of tuning?
Was haben wir beim Tuning?
Im Bereich Tuning haben wir einmal
We have added this shock absorber for your own safety. This shock absorber works quite differently from the original, which has only 3 preset levels of spring preload.
nur 3
The
voreingestellte.
B-Turbo shock absorber is completely stepless adjustable.
Stoßdämpfer ist komplett stufenlos.
When you drive over a pothole, you can use the thumb screw to infinitely adjust how smoothly it responds.
Wie sanft die einschlägt,
Then you have the option to adjust the compression dumping.
einzustellen.
In principle, the B-Turbo is a gas pressure shock absorber. It has a completely different technical design than oil pressure shock absorbers. With this one, you'll go over potholes quite smoothly. And if you ever go around a corner a little faster, this one won't push you outside.
Der Stoßdämpfer einfach das tut, was er tun soll.
Sounds good to me. By the way, if you want to know how to properly adjust a shock absorber like this, I can recommend the video series with Jasko. You can find the video in the info box above.
Als Auspuff habe ich dir einen Arrow Urban mit
As an exhaust, I have chosen an Arrow Urban. This is by design an elliptical exhaust that has a nice crisp sound to it.
Auspuff, ja, der einen schönen knackigen Sound hat. Du als
However, to you as a tuning newcomer, I cannot recommend that you immediately approach the cylinder.
an den Zylinder oder an ein tiefes Tuning dich heranzuwagen.
What I do trust you to do, however, is to change the vario. The variator is the heart of the drive. You have the crankshaft tuning, and this movement is transferred to the rear via the vario, the V-belt and the clutch. To the notepad, I added a V-belt from Malossi.
Über die Kupplung auf dein Hinterrad. Ich habe die hier in den
This is a reinforced V-belt. Due to a small increase in speed, the vario and the Kevlar V-belt is simply reinforced by this.
hast, im gesamten Bereich und der Kevlar-Keil
The design also makes it a little wider, so you have less slippage.
breiter, dass du weniger Durchrutschen hast.
To be able to tune properly in the vario area, I can recommend the following components, which I have also added on the notepad. The variator itself and this are depending on whether you have a 125 or 150 model, usually 2 sets of scooters. There's also a counter pressure spring included for proper counter pressure in the rear area as well.
Dann habe ich dir einen Keilriemen mit reingelegt.
Next, I added a V-belt and of course clutch and clutch belt. Because even in this area, the original parts hold well in the early days. But Malossi simply allows completely different friction values and both components are matched by the materials.
Materialien hier aufeinander abgestimmt sind. Also man kann ja nicht davon ausgehen, dass
You can't assume that everyone has a fully equipped garage or workshop at home. But with the two tools and a regular ratchet box, you can change components in the garage too.
Ratschenkasten kannst du auch bei dir in der Garage die Vario und Kupplung ändern.
Ah, great. And how do I get it all? Can I order the entire notepad or do I have to add all the parts individually to the cart?
Zum Warenkorb hinzufügen, wie funktioniert das?
Du hast über dein
You have the possibility to look into the notepad via your account. Once Sprint Optics and once Sprint Tuning.
Tuning, wenn du in den Merkzettel reinspringst und in einen der
If
beiden,
you take a look into the notepad, you can add the complete contents to the shopping cart by clicking on Add all items to cart.
in den Warenkorb übernehmen.
Cool, dann würde ich sagen,
Cool. I'd say I'll just order the components and get to work. And next, we'll see how the Sprint looks afterwards.
mal an, wie die Sprint danach dann ausschaut. Da ist das gute Stück. Meine
There you have it. My Vespa Sprint in matte black. I have to say, I really like it. It has a really nice sporty look, just the way I imagined it. But of course, that's my personal taste. Not everyone has to like it this way, but that's exactly the beauty of Vespa. There are so many different parts and variants that everybody can find and build exactly what suits their personal taste. For example, if you're a bit more into Dolce Vita, you can build the same scooter in baby blue and a basket in the back. And that's exactly what I love about Vespa.
Blau mit dem Körbchen hinten drauf bauen. Und genau das ist das, was ich an Vespa so toll finde. Deswegen.
That's why, if you haven't done it yet, feel free to check out our store. Because there you will not only find all the parts to build this Vespa, but also a lot of inspiration for your own builds. That's it for me at this point. I hope you learned a lot in this series about the 125cc license and what you can do with a Vespa in this category. Until then, see you next time. Take care and stay healthy. Ciao.
Bleibt gesund. Ciao.